Things are going amazing. We've seen some pretty significant growth. Our focus for the past few months has been multi-chain expansion with the Spark liquidity layer. And so users are loving the product. They want to get into the savings rate. So we see total multi-chain circulating supplies at 230 million and just, continually compounding. So that's about 118 million on Solana. We just passed 100, and we are at 8 million on Arbitrum, which just launched like a week ago. So things are going very well. Yeah, so yesterday we launched the Spark USDC Vault, which allows people to get in and out of the savings rate with staying within the USDC asset. It sort of wraps together a couple of the components so that users can have this easy access via USDC, as well as integrators. This is a much easier way to integrate with the savings rate. So we've launched this on Ethereum, Base, and Arbitrum all at the same time. And the nice thing is that this combines with the Spark liquidity layer. So users can have access to the savings rate, and the Spark liquidity layer is able to facilitate liquidity between USDC and USDS such that there's always enough liquidity available when users want to enter and exit. The Spark liquidity layer will move USDC from mainnet out to base and then out to Arbitrum and dynamically be rebalancing this so that we're always earning the optimal return on the assets, but there's also liquidity on all of these chains, such that users don't even need to worry about bridging. If they're sitting in native USDC on Arbitrum or Base, they can just deposit, and it's just as easy as depositing into an ERC 4626 vault for those who are a little technical. So yeah, this has been a long road coming. There's many components that are required. So the Spark liquidity layer we rolled out in November of last year, and we've just been adding protocols and adding chains, and we're just gonna keep going faster and faster until if you want to have a savings rate on anywhere in DeFi, we're like the go-to for that.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. I think There's some problem with the stream, and people can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, there's a moderator.
Yes, there is a moderator and an obvious moderator.
We're not just sitting in silence.
uh,
Yeah, Phil, I
if
think
there's,
we hear you too, but the chat seems to not be able to hear you. Yeah. Actually, I wasn't looking at my phone, but I guess I'm getting the same message.
yeah,
Yeah, the chat is, thank you, Nisus, is saying that they can hear the three of us, but not you. If you want, I can kind of play moderator for a bit, if you want me to. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can attest as someone who integrates Spark products through Vaults.fyi, one of Sam's repeated complaints or requests to us has been that we never show the fact that you could deposit USDC to earn the DAI or USDS savings rate. So I think that this one makes it easier for people to recognize that there's multiple ways you can earn the savings rate. And at the end of the day, USDC is this major asset in DeFi. And so opening up those opportunities makes a ton of sense and ultimately is net positive for the Sky ecosystem. So
Yeah, we're super excited to have Vaults.fyi as a partner right at launch. You guys are doing a great job. Every time I visit that website, it's just getting 10 times better than the last time I visited. So you guys are really killing it.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't introduce myself, but Ryan, co-founder, CEO of Vaults.fyi. And at Vaults, if you haven't been, I would say go check out the site. But we started really just doing data and analytics on on-chain yields, trying to both standardize how people show APYs. So today you go to random DeFi site, you don't know if you're getting the 7-day average, if you're getting a current APY, if it's static from 5 days ago. And our site has just kind of standardized that whole methodology and process of comparing. And then we just rolled out a whole app, so app.vaults.fyi, where you can actually deposit, manage positions, and currently working on a lot more of the cool cross-chain capabilities and things like that. So lots to come still.
I think I figured it out. I think everyone can hear me now. I think I needed to actually join the stage. So apologies for that. But it definitely wasn't an engagement farm tactic. So we got a few responses on that. But it's great to obviously see the people listening. And yes, we've got live feedback. That's awesome. Okay. And Ryan, thanks for making an intro and taking over the reins there for a second. Awesome to hear what you guys are doing. I think, just when I think about where we're heading in terms of the space in general, and I take a look back at sort of the previous era of banking, traditional banking, and then you got all these aggregator sites, like compare sites and all this sort of thing when it came to like credit cards and debit cards. And this was an enormous lever that banks used to bring in customers coming into their acquisition fold. And I think that's exactly what you guys are positioning yourselves as, this first point to call in terms of where to find the best yield, where to find the best sort of options available. And like crypto is quite a complicated space. There's a billion tokens out there. There's a number of protocols and many different options. So like, how does one make the decision in the end of the day? It's going to be quite tough. Do you want to just take us a little bit through some of the thinking on where you guys are positioning it? What do you see from a user data perspective, and any sort of trends and insights you could help us gather in terms of what the changing landscape looks like?
Yeah, I'm happy to, and obviously I'm on the call here with some very smart people as well, so maybe I'll throw some of the questions back at them and try to mine some business ideas out of them. But so I think one of the kind of fundamental beliefs we have right now is that there are a lot of protocols in DeFi that are very mature. Spark, Sky, Maker, that whole ecosystem, Aave, Compound. We see things like Morpho, Euler, Fluid sort of establishing themselves as like another wave of protocols, I think, that are I would say relatively safe, if not very safe, for mainstream users who don't understand what's actually happening to start using in some way, shape, or form. But the process of actually onboarding to crypto in the way that you onboard to a Revolut or Wealthfront or Acorns are still two totally disconnected experiences. I've just gone through this exercise with some friends recently of onboarding them to Vaults, and I forget how difficult it is to start if you don't already have the Coinbase account, you haven't sent money there yet, then there's the 5-day wait period, then you have to choose a wallet, then you realize you didn't send ETH for gas as well, and there's just all of this complexity that still exists out there. But there are a set of protocols that I think people who aren't familiar with crypto can and should be using. So that's kind of the fundamental place of where we are today. We're approaching this from two angles. One is we have our interface, which is app.vaults.fyi. People can come there, and it's a slightly more advanced experience. Everything on app.vaults.fyi is also powered by APIs that we're now beginning to work with wallets and more consumer-friendly mobile type of interfaces so that they can integrate these experiences for their users. So the sort of vision that we're painting is that, in the future, any wallet or Robinhood-like app or whatever it is should have DeFi Earn integrated very seamlessly into it. But there's still a lot of complexity doing that, right? If you have a team that hasn't worked on smart contracts, if you aren't familiar with analytics and RPC providers and all of these things, our API just gives you all of that out of the box. Best-in-class analytics, direct connections to all of the protocols, and continuing to add more and more stuff onto that. So that's kind of how we think about it. And I know that the Spark and Sky team is thinking about that the same way on some of the mobile and user-friendly stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, for
Thanks,
sure.
Ryan.
Maybe I just want to add a little bit to that. So yeah, I completely agree with Ryan. I think like there's many smart teams that are working all across the stack. We are definitely not to the point of being a Revolut app yet in the space, but I think it requires all of us pushing at all the fronts. So the work Ryan's doing, we're like at Spark, we're a little bit more back end DeFi, so we're working on solving things like L2 liquidity fragmentation. This is a huge issue that is still a big problem right now. So like and then we have like wallet providers that are working on improving this, first usage experience. Having the gas tokens and stuff like that. I think that will kind of go away and be abstracted. Efforts like Coinbase with their smart wallet, this kind of stuff. I think we're going to get there very soon. I think this is like this year, 2025, 2026 is like we're really starting to hit a stride with everybody pushing on all these fronts. And I think it's just the user experience is just going to rapidly improve, I think.
Awesome. I think I'm going to open this up to the room just in terms of a general question. I think the greatest challenge sitting in this industry is that we are so au fait with the terminology and the risks and also the UX requirements. For us, it's quite easy. We know how to connect, we know how to bridge, and we know what the different terminologies mean. Let's take kind of like a step back and put ourselves in a Web 2 mindset for a minute. What do you think it'll take for an industry to onboard, a billion people that might be completely, non-crypto native, don't understand anything, how a blockchain works or, what bridging is, and the complexities that each chain offers and, the opportunity, the benefits that one might offer over the next. What do you think it will take from an industry perspective for us to become, so normalized that the average person on the street just goes, okay, cool, it's one click. I understand, I get it, and how do we, move forward?
Yeah, I can take this one, I guess. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what I was just talking about, making the efficiency improvements. But I don't think the average person is going to directly interact with the blockchain. I think there's actually still use in having intermediaries that are, dealing with custodying funds, all this kind of stuff, like the old famous, like your grandparents, like they probably aren't going to be managing like wallets and stuff like that. So like, I think I think like the DeFi mullet, I think is like kind of what things are going to look like at a large scale. I think and having multiple providers that are connected, and the blockchain is more like the settlement layer with like, and then you get out to L2s, and it's just like these trade-offs between scalability and security. And like not everybody needs the most security ever, and so not everybody needs to be interacting directly on Ethereum. Like L2s work well for scale, and then you get further out, centralized apps that are like attached to the L2s, and on and on and on.
Yeah. Ryan?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in. I think something I've been thinking about with the DeFi mullet concept, which I very much agree with, is that I think mostly when I think about that historically, I think about it as a consumer mullet, if that makes any sense. And I think what the ETFs have shown us is that the institutional piece here is, so much bigger just in terms of the absolute scale. So when I see sort of DeFi becoming more accessible, it's ETFs that are staking their ETH. It's institutions kind of signing off on these different products in their high net worth clients, private wealth accounts, things of that nature as well. I think are and now just with the changing administration in the U.S., I think we're going to see a lot more of that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think, of course, institutional and governmental adoption is going to make it a lot sort of, it'll resonate a lot more in the average consumer perspective. But I was watching. Well, I constantly have CNBC on the background. It's just like a habit of mine. I feel productive when I've got it on in the background. And every time, Bitcoin is mentioned or crypto is mentioned, you've got a bunch of journalists that technically, and also, um, they're not educated that well in the space, and they kind of still stigmatize what crypto is and what Bitcoin is. And even this morning, they were talking about, like, oh, there's so much theft and crime that Bitcoin is used for and stuff, and like it's just such a PR issue still that I believe we're facing, from an industry. And I know that, like, institutions and governments are obviously pushing us in the right direction, but it's still at a grassroots level. There is this perception that it is a crime-ridden, scammy, space where people need to be, highly vigilant, which of course everyone needs to be. But we've still got this massive PR issue that we need to address to make sure that we are recognized as one of the most transparent and probably secure, industries that technically is currently available in the financial landscapes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I think it's just like a matter of focusing on what crypto's the win so far, and like I think there's been. It's unfortunate we have this like sea of like scams that have been surrounding us just due to the. I mean, it's not even blockchain stuff. It's like FTX. It's like not even related to crypto, right? And so these are just old-fashioned scammers that are like doing this stuff. But yeah, it gives crypto a bad rap, and it's unfortunate. There should be just more focus on. I mean, there's a very positive story that's here all along, and it is stablecoins. Stablecoins are one of the is the killer app of crypto so far, and it's a huge boon, especially in the U.S. I'm glad they're now starting to come around because stablecoins are one of the largest buyers of U.S. debt, and this is going to help the U.S. Get out of this huge deficit problem that they have. And I think I see the changes. I mean, especially with the recent change in administration, there's been a lot more friendly actors within the U.S. Senate and House, and they're starting. I see it on TV. Some of the senators talking about how stablecoins are super good for the U.S. and like this is important to keep just hammering on this point about where, uh, even the whole world, like it's a win for everybody, the U.S. in particular, but also the world gets access to the world reserve currency. People in third world countries who don't necessarily have access to good banking rails can get Tether usually is what's used. They can get access to this and start, paying each other and getting control over their lives. And this is what crypto enables.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the original idea of what we all are aspiring to achieve, is to bank the unbanked, right? And to bring on all of that volume and, obviously activity into a space that is completely democratized at the end of the day. I mean, that's what it's about. Chris, you're sitting there very quietly. I'm not going to let you just sit there on your couch and enjoy the show. You need, how about an update from your side on, firstly, just make an introduction. I think, obviously, maybe the OG community members might know who you are, but we've got a brand new, a large base of audience members. So, brief introduction, and let's talk a little bit more about some product features that you're working on, some engineering challenges, and maybe a bit of a hint on what you see the future of what Spark might look like in addressing bringing on, the next billion users.
Sure, thanks. So I'm Chris. I'm doing product and engineering at Phoenix Apps, working on Spark. And as you know, one of the things that we launched yesterday was SUSD-C Vault, so the most native way of getting into savings product, savings on top of your USDC. And with that, I think it's a great opportunity to talk about like various features that you can find in the app, in our app these days. So first of all, if you're new to what we do, you can just start using the sandbox mode in the application. This is like an extremely easy way to just start, playing with the application, with the savings product, with also our lending market and everything we do. But basically try out the product with fake money which and after you're done, you can connect your wallet and do the same operations again. Another very nice feature is that once you deposit into any of the savings vaults that we offer, you can easily send a very specific amount of the base assets, or you can actually pick the assets you want to send. So, for example, you can send easy the exact amount of USDC out of your savings account, which is like very useful when you're treating your savings account as a the basic place where you store your cryptocurrencies. So you can still interact with pay your bills or withdraw to fiat and so on and so forth. Yeah, I think these are some of the highlights from the product perspective that we have with app.spark.fi.
Yeah, I love the sandbox mode. I think it's something that a lot of projects don't give you, that sort of, the dummy demo model to play around and experiment, which I really loved, when I first came across Spark, and I was like, this is pretty easy. This is fun, and it's risk free, and it gets you, sort of across what the product features are able or capable of doing. But I also, what I really love about Spark, and this is possibly fueled by some level of bias, but still, the usability of Spark is incredibly easy. It's like 3 clicks or something, between landing on the site to actually depositing and earning yield. And I'm just giving you one example in terms of the savings, but it is for me one of the easiest streamlined platforms I've come across in a long time. So kudos, and obviously well done on it, on a usability factor on the product. I think it's really, really great, and I think the aspiration is for us to get to almost like a one-click environment, of course, if that's possible or not. And I know we've been having discussions with certain vendors and suppliers in terms of making that easy, abstracted experience, one click away. But
Yeah.
I definitely think, just in terms of the competitive landscape, we've definitely offered one of the easiest onboarding experiences I've come across.
Yeah, so now it's very easy to get into the savings product if you hold USDC, USDS, of course, or even DAI. And of course, we're working on future versions of the product where there's even where there's the simple rail for even more assets. So stay tuned.
I'm not.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm not gonna. I will never hold you to timelines, Chris. So, if you give us hints, I won't say, okay, when is it coming out? Because we're talking to a crypto audience, which they'll hold you accountable for. And now that you're on the main stage, they'll find you. So I'm definitely going to save your reputation there. Thanks, Chris. I mean, it's great. I think also what we want to do, and maybe you can talk a little bit more about this, is we've of course got a vibrant Discord community. And we want to create a dev/product hangout session with you and the team. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. We're constantly improving the product. We also seeking for feedback from the users. So Discord is the right place to hang out, and we already started posting some highlights of what's happening with the product update, but also what's happening in on chain, some bigger swaps and so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely a great place to hang out, and yeah, see you on Discord.
Perfect. And we'll of course we'll advertise and promote exactly when that's going to happen. We will have it on a regular basis, so people can diarize that that hangout session on Discord. And yeah, it'll be quite a cool time and opportunity to interact directly with the team. Of course, that's what Web3 is all about, really. Getting close to the team and making sure that you're part of that future decision-making process, which we do value, of course. And that's obviously hinting to the future type of mechanic that Spark will be building. We are obviously a sub-DAO. So if you can put the dots together, then you can kind of start formulating where we're heading with the project. So very exciting times. Ryan,
Yep.
I'm a data guy. I like analytics. I like understanding what user behavior tells us. And I think you're sitting on a very exciting crest in terms of what that trend might be in terms of the greater DeFi landscape. What are you seeing on your platforms in terms of the user behavior, site traffic? Where does the interest sit? Have you seen any drop-offs or spike in activity with the recent, ebb and flow of the macro movements?
Yeah, I mean, just across the board, the dollar lending rates specifically in crypto have come down a lot in the last, 30, 45 days or something like that. We have a benchmark product that just tracks TVL weighted of some of the biggest vaults on mainnet, and that is currently sitting at 3.36% on the 7-day average. So that is like the lowest it's been in quite some time now. So across the board, I think we're seeing just lower rates in DeFi. Obviously, the Sky savings rate has come down, I think, 2 or 3 times recently. Currently at
still 6.5% though.
Still 6.5 though. Yeah, exactly. So still good compared to some of the other ones. But so yeah, I just think naturally we see people that are maybe a bit less inclined to use DeFi products in that environment. We've recently gotten more requests for T-bill products, which I think is probably a sign too of where we are in the market, if that's a competitive rate again, because it certainly was not like 2 months ago. And what else? I mean, the other big trend that I'm following and just kind of continuously excited by is sort of the modular lending protocols, so Euler and Morpho specifically. And, obviously Sky has done a lot with Morpho, but I think the way that we're seeing people build protocols on top of them using their infrastructure in these extremely modular ways, and also how I think we've seen people use Euler and Morpho to bootstrap new stablecoins. So an example of that is something like WrappedM or M0, which is one of the kind of higher yielding products we have on vaults.fyi today. They've kind of used Euler to bootstrap a lot of that liquidity, and I find this kind of be like the heart of DeFi, right? People using the modularity of other protocols to grow, and again, very much like what you guys have done with Morpho.
Awesome. Cool. And yeah, I mean, I had a quite an interesting discussion with a community forum this morning, because we're obviously looking to tap into some thought leaders in the industries, and we were talking about just in terms of where do we sit, in terms of the 6.5 yield option, right? Sam, I'm going to hand this to you. At the end of the day, we need to differentiate ourselves through a number of different options. But for you, what is the key differentiator in terms of why that 6.5 is such a stable and solid number to be offering in the market?
Yeah, so I'll say the 6.5% is probably a little bit high right now, but the protocol as a whole is still profitable, even offering these above market rates. And it's precisely because of the combination of all the yield opportunities available on chain. So historically, DAI has gotten all of its yield basically from crypto over collateralized lending. This is, you lock up your ETH, you lock up your Bitcoin, and then you're able to mint the stablecoin, and then this generates a yield from users who are borrowing, and usually they go leverage long on ETH and Bitcoin. More recently, since 2022, with the onboarding of treasury bill products, USDS, the Sky ecosystem is able to generate a savings rate that is at least the risk-free rate for US dollars, which is significant because in 2022 we were losing a lot of capital that was that was going out of DeFi, and so maintaining the liquidity within DeFi is key. And Maker was a pioneer in this regard, in being one of the first to onboard T-bills onto the balance sheet at a large scale, so that users can get this yield and still remain on chain. More recently, and less relevant in this current market, but Spark now has access to the cash and carry trade via products like Athena. So it's able to tap into the funding rates on centralized exchanges. And the result of this is that the combination is Spark is just always optimizing on your behalf to get you the best possible yield. And this is why we're able to deliver above market rates, precisely because of this super optimized advanced lending engine that is on the back end, that is cross chain. And so we are, it's still a little bit early days. We are rapidly scaling this thing up, so it will do lending across all venues, Aave, Morpho, Athena, T-bills, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, very excited about this.
Awesome. Cool. And I believe you're flying tomorrow, Sam. You're off to New York. It is going to be a very busy next week. Some exciting announcements, some exciting movements happening. We will not be able to tell you exactly what that is here, but look out for that in the press. We are going to be doing some very exciting things in New York and around the world. And of course, it pivots around the RWA Summit. So I think if you guys are listening into this, you definitely want to dial in next week. It is going to be an absolute insane, jam-packed, and awesome milestone that we will be unlocking at Spark with various different, blue chip partners that we're very excited about onboarding. So, Sam, all the best in traveling there. I know we're constantly in contact, but I know that you are going to be now flying from one side of the world to the other side of the world. So, safe travels on that. And also next week is going to be fun. Chris, one more a couple words from you, please, on just where you think where we at, and what are you most excited about in the next few weeks with Spark?
Sure. So I'm just here with Sam on the north side, and we discussed a lot of interesting plans for the future. I can't talk too much about them right now, but the future is very bright, and let the current market conditions don't let that cloud your judgment of the future of crypto. I think as an industry, like we're as Sam already mentioned, like we're getting pretty close to like great products that can like face regular users, right? And of course with Spark we're gonna be part of that movement.
Yeah, of course. It's always the challenge when we're kind of price indicative. We think too short term as an industry when we need to really zoom out and think about what impact we're creating from a long term perspective, and that is very exciting. But yeah, the next few weeks, of course, going to be next few weeks and months to come, pending a few major announcements from a Spark perspective, with a potential TGE around the corner, and of course what we've done whilst we've been on the space is we've unlocked a new quest on our layer 3 campaign. So if you guys are participating in the layer 3 campaign, if you're not, I would definitely recommend you want to do this, because obviously it hints towards what I've just mentioned in terms of what lies ahead. So wink wink, nudge nudge, get over to layer 3 and participate. But we've just unlocked a mystery, the mystery quest 4 on layer 3. So go over there and get participating. I promise you will be rewarded for what lies ahead. So very exciting times. And we're also going to be embarking on a couple more activities over the next few days. So yeah, watch that with other growth mechanisms. But very exciting, I think, nonetheless. We've seen almost 100% growth on Twitter, which is great. We've seen an enormous potential participation rate on layer 3 with over 101,000 participants, or at least a task completed. And our Discord group is growing at a very healthy rate. So the appetite is there. I think what also you're going to hear me say time and time again, we're returning to fundamentals. I think people are tired of the pump and dump schemes, and they're burnt. They're tired of casinos, and they want to return to something a lot more normal and stabilized, which is definitely what the platform offers. Conscious of time, guys. Ryan, I think a few more words from you. I'd love to hear what you see in the next few weeks, months, and what do you have up your sleeve for Vaults.dev FYI.
First, I just want to say you are a great hype man. You're getting, I think, myself and everyone here very excited about everything on the Spark roadmap. So, great hype man. On our side, I mean, the really two big focuses that I'll talk about. One is on the app, we really want to kind of unify the experience of, today we support, I think, 5 chains on Vaults.fi: Ethereum, Optimism Base, Arbitrum, Polygon. We're going to be adding soon, chains like Unichain, Swell, a lot of the OP stack chains as they start to get more DeFi opportunities there, and down the list, Sonic and many, many others. And I think our biggest concern right now is just how disjointed that experience will feel for users. If you have funds on Optimism and you want to move them to Sonic, you got to use some swap and bridge, move them over to the new chain, realize you don't have gas, all of those steps. We are really working to unify that whole experience. And I think a lot of the upgrades to Ethereum through even like EIP 7702 are going to help us a lot there, where we can give users these smart accounts that allow them to batch these different actions together and then ultimately integrate with some of these intents and other providers under the hood. So unifying that whole experience to our app is number one, top of mind. The other one then is, as I mentioned at the beginning, some of these integrations that we're beginning to do with wallets. The way that we sort of envision this is that there's all of these popular crypto wallets today, Rainbow, Coinbase Wallet, others, and our vision is that the earn experience in those wallets should be treated the same way that swaps are, right? Every wallet today treats the swap as a first-class citizen. It often has its own tab. It doesn't open an in-app browser. It's integrated deeply into the wallet. That is what we're trying to do for earn. Through our APIs, every wallet should have a deeply integrated earn tab that can integrate with Spark and all of these other wonderful protocols, and it's right there in the wallet. No in-app browsers, great deep analytics, standardized yield calculations, and yeah, that's what we're working towards.
Exciting stuff. Completely agree. Thank you, Ron. And also, thanks for joining us. I know that you're really busy on your side, and thanks for making time and bringing your community onto the journey of which is only yet beginning. So thanks a lot for joining us, Ron.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Sam, any final comments and words?
Yeah, I think I tweeted out a couple hours ago like that. I actually love bear markets because the bulls they're crazy. Like there's so much stuff going on. It's very distracting. Bear markets. I don't know how long this one's gonna last. Hopefully only a few months for price reasons, I guess. But for me, it's just like a very calm period where we can collect ourselves, figure out the long term, and just focus on building and improving the experience for everybody so that when we get these next growth spurts from bull markets, the people we bring on chain can find long term utility with the space. And I think, as I mentioned before, I think this is like this year, next year, like there's really hitting a critical threshold where this experience is improving quite a bit. And I'm quite bullish on that.
Yeah, agreed. Also, I think it helps that Spark is already a revenue generating machine, which means that a bull and bear is a lot less of a concern in in the immediate headspace, which a lot of projects unfortunately are governed by the a very volatile, potentially even psychologically damaging environment to be in, which is of course the benefit that Spark has. I mean, annualized at about $130 million, it puts the project into a very strong positioning. And yeah, of course, but we build for long term, and of course we achieve in the short term. And I think 25 is going to be an incredibly important year for DeFi. I think it's resonating. We're all trying to make DeFi great again. Of course, it's crazy to think like, Sam, when you say we're in a bear, it's crazy to think that when we're like Bitcoin's above 80,000 right now. I know Ethereum is somewhat not as exciting as it could be, but if you are in the sort of the ETH, I suppose, building ecosystem, it's just incredible what DeFi is actually doing, and I think the price has absolutely no correlation to what's happening within within an ETH system.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, price action is temporary. I'm not worried about ETH, the asset, at all.
Yeah, exactly right. Cool. Okay, and I think we're going to look to wrap it up. Chris, any final thoughts from you, mate?
Can't wait to see what's ahead of us.
Awesome, dude. Okay, so guys, thanks for obviously making time for the spaces, and thanks to the community who have dialed in. Of course, these sessions are all recorded, so if you missed it, don't worry. You can always catch it on the wires at a later stage. Next week is going to be another crazy, brilliant, and exciting one. I think just from a project perspective, we're going to be hitting a milestone that is going to be, I think, probably for all of us from an individual point of view, a career best. So very exciting times next week. And yeah, I can't wait to actually see it all come to fruition. And you're going to start seeing things happening in New York, guys and girls, that are pretty hype and pretty cool. So yeah, great times ahead. And I see Ryan smiling because I think I've hyped him up to a point
Yeah,
where
you've set the bar so high of what these announcements are going to be.
don't worry, we're going to deliver, man. You have no idea. We all on our side, we talk. We're looking at all these assets being rolled out next week, and we all get goosebumps, and we can't believe that it's actually happening. And I'm going to be sending my mom and dad, examples and showing them what this is what we're doing. I don't think they'll understand what it all means, but at least we can try. Awesome. Chris, Sam, Ryan, thank you so much for participating in episode 2 of the Spark Spaces. We're going to look to wrap it up, and thanks for everyone that's dialed in and taken a lending ear to this. So, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Cheers.